The All-Star break is all but over, and now it is time to play basketball. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. In today's video, I wanted to rank who are the 10 most important players for the Knicks coming out of the All-Star game and heading towards the NBA playoffs. Not the 10 best players, but the 10 most important players. You might be shocked who I have at number 1. But if you miss New York Knicks basketball like I do, I walk around the house at night and I'm like, what do I do with myself? I miss watching my team hoop. Hit that thumbs up icon. The more likes we get on this video, the more likely it is the New York Knicks will win the NBA Finals. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Let's get into it. Who are the most important players on the New York Knicks roster? That is the discussion on today's show. But I first kind of just want to set the scene. As we know, the Knicks, they've lost 3 games in a row. They've lost 4 out of their last 5. They are one of the most injury-riddled team in the National Basketball Association. And we all know that the most important thing for them is to get healthy. But let's see where they stack up in the Eastern Conference right now. You got the Boston Celtics holding down the number 1 spot at 43-12. I think it's pretty safe to say they've got that spot locked up. Then you got the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have somewhat emerged as a team the last couple of months despite injuries to Garland and Mobley as one of the top contenders in the Eastern Conference. Donovan Mitchell having one of his best seasons in the league. And you got the Milwaukee Bucks and the New York Knicks, both at 35 wins. The Knicks, though, they have one more loss than the Bucks. Then you got the Philadelphia 76ers at 32-22. Joel Embiid still no timetable on his return. The Indiana Pacers sitting in that 6th spot at 31-25. And then you got the play-in teams with the Heat, Magic, Bulls, and the Atlanta Hawks. I'm looking at that number 3 seed, though. Can the New York Knicks surpass the Milwaukee Bucks and get to that number 3 seed? That way, they can avoid potentially playing the number 1 team in the second round of the playoffs. These next 10 games, though, we're going to find out how serious this New York Knicks team is. They have a tough schedule coming up. You got to play at Philly, then versus Boston. Then you get an easy one against the Detroit Pistons. The Pelicans are no slouch. The Warriors, you know where they're going to turn it up in the second half of the season. The Cleveland Cavaliers are one of the top hottest teams in the league right now. Get to play the Atlanta Hawks. You also have to play the Magic a couple of more times. They have dominated you this season. And you get the Philadelphia 76ers back-to-back at MSG on the 10th and 12th of March. The New York Knicks, they have the 14th hardest remaining schedule. So it's not going to be easy for them to climb the standings. But I believe that they can get at least to the 3 seed. I thought they could get to the 2 seed prior to the injuries, but they started to fall off prior to that All-Star break. I just hope one day this season I will be able to see a fully healthy New York Knicks roster. I want to see Brunson and Robinson and OG and Randle and Bogdanovic and Chenzo and Hart and Burks and Achiuwa and Hartenstein all play together. Because I think when you look at the top 10 players on any team, the New York Knicks have the best 10 players in the league from 1 to 10. Thing is, they gotta be healthy. Thing is, they aren't right now. And that is why they are struggling as of late. I do know this, though. If we get any info on injury updates for Randle, Robinson, Anunoby, Hartenstein, DiVincenzo, or anybody else, we're going to break it down on this channel. So subscribe. Free, informative, entertaining content every day on your New York Knicks. Break it down. Subscribe. All righty. I wanted to take a look at just the top 10 Knicks, the guys that you just saw on screen. And I am classifying this as the most important Knicks coming out of the All-Star break, heading towards the NBA playoffs. At the number 10 spot, I've got Alec Burks. He was just traded from the Detroit Pistons to the New York Knicks, has only played 3 games for us so far, and he has somewhat struggled. I thought his shot selection just hasn't been that good overall, but he's averaging 13.3 points per game, shooting about 39% from 3. Burks, his number 1 job on this team is to score the basketball when Jalen Brunson is not on the floor. And he really hasn't been put in a position to do that just yet because he's been thrusted into a spot where he needs to sometimes carry the load on offense, even had to start a game. Ideally, when the Knicks are healthy, he doesn't have to do that, and all he has to do is score a couple of buckets when Brunson takes his 4 or 5 minute rest in each half, particularly in the playoffs. Hopefully, he can start to hit some shots more consistently. Precious Achiuwa is the number 9 player, talking about the most important Knicks going to the second half of the season. You could make an argument that Achiuwa may even be higher on this list because if injuries continue with Hartenstein or Mitchell Robinson and Randle, Achiuwa is going to have to play more, which means that his importance to this roster is going to be higher. He has been really good, though, for the New York Knicks. When they made this trade and they added him, a lot of people thought he was just going to be a throw-in alongside OG Anunoby. But you could make an argument that he may be the third best player in that trade, for sure the fourth best player in that trade, and he might be a part of this franchise for the foreseeable future. He's started a lot of games for us already, and I honestly think when Randle comes back, if he's not 100%, he may have to take a lighter workload and let Achiuwa eat up some of those minutes. At the number 8 spot, I got Bojan Bogdanovic as the 8th most important Knick for the second half of the season. Bogey's number one job on the Knicks is score the basketball. That's why he's here, to hit big-time shots, to score when Brunson's off the floor, and I thought he did a really good job of that in that Houston Rockets game in the fourth quarter. Brunson was horrible for 40 minutes. And remember, he played that whole third quarter, and then Brunson played the start of the fourth quarter as well. Knicks fell down by 9 points, and then Bogey came into the game, and he got to the cup. He got to the foul line, made some shots, got downhill, and just put the ball in the basket. He is a professional scorer, and that's why he's here, to score the basketball. The Knicks need him to be healthy second half of the year and be able to do just that. At number 7, I've got Josh Hart for the New York Knicks. And I went back at 7 and 8. I was like, maybe Josh Hart is 8, maybe Josh Hart is 7. You could even make the argument that Josh Hart may be a top 5 most important player on this team. He is that type of dude. He can move the needle. He does all the rough and rugged stuff. He'll fly in for the offensive rebound. We know what Josh Hart brings. And his number one job is to bring that energy. But if I had to say what his number 2 job was and what the Knicks need him to do a little bit more of is be able to consistently hit that outside shot. I'm not asking for Josh Hart to be a 40-plus percent three-point guy. Can you be 34%? Can you be 35%? And can you hit that big shot that you are going to have to take in the playoffs? He did it in Game 1 against the Cleveland Cavaliers last year. He was unable to do it against the Miami Heat. Josh Hart, you're going to have to take a couple of big shots this year. The Knicks are going to have to need you. They're going to need you to make that. At number 6, when it comes to most important Knicks, I have Mitchell Robinson. And you could also make the argument like Hart that Robinson is a top 5 important player on this team. He's not playing, though, right now. Reports are coming out that Robinson could return to action as soon as the beginning of March. That is what Tim Bodtips of ESPN said. We told you guys, though, in December, when he had that surgery, when everyone told me that Robinson was done for the year, Stu with the Widow's Peak told you that was not true because that is not what I had heard. I heard he was always planning to come back around the All-Star break. Thibodeau said prior to the break that Robinson will resume on-court activities when they get back from the break. He is doing so now. We saw video surface of him during the All-Star break working out. If the Knicks can get him back for the playoffs and you have 48 minutes of elite offensive rebounding and elite rim protection, they're going to be special. Number 1 job for Robinson, attack the offensive glass and protect the rim. At number 5, I've got Donte DiVincenzo coming in for the New York Knicks. And I thought about maybe even putting DiVincenzo higher on this list, but I think number 5 makes a lot of sense for him. DiVincenzo's number 1 job, hit open threes. Continue to have that readiness to catch and shoot from downtown whenever you get it. The dude has been special all year long for the New York Knicks. I think you can make the argument he has been one of the best free agent signings of the offseason. But what he has done as a starter, not even myself, the biggest DiVincenzo fan, thought was coming. The guy is averaging 16.5 points per game as a starter, almost 4 rebounds, almost 3 assists, shooting better than 42.5% from 3 on 8.6 attempts from deep. The guy is catching it and letting it fly. And if this New York Knicks team wants to get where they want to be in the playoffs, they need DiVincenzo to continue to be a flamethrower from downtown. We'll talk about the top 4 most important Knicks going for the rest of the season coming up around the corner. But you guys need to check out our proud daily fantasy partner that is Prize Picks. Check out Prize Picks, prizepicks.com/CLNS. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. All you do is create a lineup and choose more or less on their projected stat line. And it's not just NBA that you could play Prize Picks with. NHL, college football, soccer, PGA, college football, the NFL when all that returns, and so much more. It's fun, it's exciting, but most importantly, it's easy. Check them out. prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. At number 4, I've got Isaiah Hartenstein when it comes to the most important Knicks. Hartenstein has proved to me that he is an instrumental piece in this puzzle when it comes to winning basketball games. Why? Because his number one job is do the dirty work. He does everything on the floor that nobody else wants to do. He'll go up and contest a shot at the rim, even if it means his nose is broken and he's bloodied up. He'll go and dive on the floor for the loose ball. He's one of the best damn dribble. And I know this is going to sound crazy, and it's like, Marshall, it doesn't matter. When it comes to dribble handoff, being able to get the guy the ball, set the screen, and create separation for the guy coming around the corner, that is so important for a guy like Jalen Brunson or a guy like DiVincenzo or someone getting downhill. He's also an offensive creator when it comes to passing the basketball out of the high post. The New York Knicks need Isaiah Hartenstein healthy. He's been battling with that Achilles injury. He missed 5 games in the month of February because of it. But when he is on the floor, the Knicks are one of the best teams in the league. They need 55 Hart out there, and that's why I've got him as the 4th most important Knick coming for the rest of the season. At number 3, I've got OG Anunoby. I've got OG Anunoby at number 3, and I think that there is no better spot for him. Since Anunoby has become a member of the Knicks, or in that 14-game sample size prior to the injury, the Knicks were the number 1 team in the NBA in so many advanced metrics. He makes everything go. I don't want to say he's the engine to the offense or the engine to the team, or he's not the driver, but he is the gas in the car, man. Where the Knicks want to go, they need Anunoby. He makes life easier for Brunson. He makes life easier for Randle. Not only do you get a guy whose number 1 job is to lock everyone up, and he does it better than anybody else in the league right now, he also gets you a guy on the team that can score without really touching the basketball. Catch and shoot, backdoor cuts, fast break opportunities. We've also seen a little bit of a mid-range game from Anunoby prior to the injury, being able to get to his spot, step back, and rise up. Anunoby, very important piece. I want to freaking see that guy play basketball soon. Please heal up, young fella. This might be a little bit of a surprise. Yes, I know. I am the president of the Jalen Brunson fan club. I told you guys months and months before he was a Knick that he was going to be a Knick. I've got him number 2. Why? Because I have no fear. I have no doubt. And I just believe that he's going to do what he does. That's your job, Jalen Brunson. Do what you do. Just do what you do, man. Continue to be one of the best point guards in the NBA. That was disrespectful. Continue to be one of the best players in the NBA, because that is what Jalen Brunson is at this point. I believe he's a top 12 player in this league, and I have no fear that he will continue to not just show up in the playoffs and have his game translate to the playoffs, but you know what great players do? They don't just translate. They elevate in big-time moments, and that is what Brunson has done since he has picked up a basketball. Jalen Brunson, born to save the New York Knicks. He is doing that right now. 27 points this year, almost 7 assists, top 7 in scoring as well. He's going to show up. No doubt about it. But that's why I've got Julius Randle as the number 1 most important Knick going for the remainder of the season. This is not who is the best player. This is not who this list is at all. This is not who is better. We all know Jalen Brunson is the best player on this team, and they are going to go as far as he goes. But Randle's number 1 job is to show up in the playoffs. And that is why he is the most important player. Because if he does not show up in the playoffs, if he does what he did against the Atlanta Hawks, if he does what he did against the Miami Heat, if he did what he did against the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks, they'll be packing their bags up in the second round of the playoffs, and they will be heading to Cabo. But if regular season Randle shows up in the playoffs, I am dead ass serious. This team can win the NBA Finals. Because if you have 2 All-NBA players on the court in the playoffs, alongside the second best coach in the Eastern Conference with one of the deepest rosters, you can win the conference and you can win the playoffs. Not the best player, the most important. Just show up and be productive. And this team could do something they haven't done since the 70s. Who is more important, in your opinion? And I honestly don't even like framing the question like this, because I think the Knicks are better. Say it like this. The Knicks can live if Randle doesn't play and Brunson's there. They can't survive if Brunson is out. So that may even make me not make sense when it comes to who is more important. But I guess I should have framed it like this. Who is more important? Who's the most important player if the Knicks want to win the NBA Finals? It's this guy. You can get to the second round without Randle and then just Brunson. You could maybe even get to the conference finals with no Randle without Brunson. But Brunson can't do it himself. And that's why I've got Randle as the most important player if the New York Knicks want to win the NBA Finals. Make sure you guys are following me over on social media. I'm tweeting about the Knicks every day, and I'm posting on Instagram as well. @MarshallGreen is the handle on both. Hit me up over there, and let's go Knicks.